Do you want to know how much home you can afford in today's real estate market? Well, in this video, we go over this exact topic. Interest rates can vary, but the rates I am seeing right now are about 6.625 or 6.75, but they are always changing. And by the time this video comes out, it could be much better or worse. So to account for interest rates changing, we're going to go over 6%, 6.5%, and 7% interest rates and what it looks like for 100% financing, 96.5% financing, 90% financing, and also 80% financing at different price points. We will not be accounting for taxes or insurance as it can change from state to state, and this video is for anyone and everyone. When making your buying decision, make sure you always account for taxes and insurance. In this video, we'll start low and work our way up to $1 million. Affordability is at an all-time low. So we'll start off with a $200,000 home and go up to $500,000, $750,000, and $1 million. It should be really interesting to see how much per month it goes up at each price point. So let's get started. And as you can see, a $200,000 loan at 100% financing at 6% interest rate, your monthly payment comes in at $1,199.10 to be exact. Now, if you up that to a 6.5% interest rate, you are now at $1,264.14 to be exact. Last is 7% interest rate, which bumps you all the way up to $1,330.60. Now, if you finance 96.5% instead of 100% or a 3.5% down payment, your 6% interest rate will have you at $1,157.13. 6.5% interest rate with 3.5% down would be $1,219.89, and a 7% interest rate would bring you up to $1,284.03. Now let's go to a 90% loan with a 10% down payment on that same $200,000 purchase price. At a 6% interest rate, you are looking at $1,079.19 monthly payment. A 6.5% interest rate would bring you up to $1,137.72, and then at a 7% interest rate would bump you all the way up to $1,197.54. Last, I want to show you what an 80% loan would be for payments and a 20% down payment. First up is 6% interest rate, and that payment would be $959.28. Next is a 6.5% interest rate that would bring your payment up to $1,011.31, and last 7% interest rate would bump that payment all the way up to $1,064.48. As you can see, at each price point, you are seeing over $100 a month difference. When the interest rate is on the high end, we are seeing at 7%. The interest rates are really making it nuts and pricing a lot of people out of each price point. Now, if you are watching this, you may be looking into buying a home, and we would love to either connect you with an awesome buyer's agent, or if you are planning on moving to Iowa, let us know, as we are the Living in Iowa team, and we help people buy, sell, and invest in real estate. Give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, as we would love to help you with your real estate needs. Next up is the $500,000 price point. If you want to know any price points in between the amounts we are covering, just reach out to us. That $500,000 price point, if you start with 100% financing at a 6% interest rate, you are looking at a payment of $2,997.75. Now, if that interest rate is at 6.5%, you go up to $3,160.34. Last, if you bump that up to 7% interest rate, the payment goes all the way up to $3,326.51 a month. Next up is 96.5% loan with a 3.5% down payment. At 6% interest rate, you're looking at a monthly payment of $2,892.83. At a 6.5% interest rate, the monthly payment goes up to $3,049.73. And last, a 7% interest rate, you are looking at your monthly payment going up to $3,210.08. Now, at a 90% loan with a 10% down payment, your monthly payment starting at 6% interest rate would be $2,697.98. At a 6.5% interest rate, your monthly payment would go up to $2,844.31. And last, at a 7% interest rate, your monthly payment would go up to $2,993.86. Now, last example is going to be that 80% loan with 20% down payment. Let's again start with a 6% interest rate, and the monthly payment would come in at $2,398.20. At a 6.5% interest rate, your monthly payment would go up to $2,528.27. And last, 7% interest rate, your monthly payment would bump up to $2,661.21. As you can see, your payment based on these three interest rate potentials is around $300 a month difference. What a huge shift. If you're finding this video helpful, let us know in the comments, and also consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell, especially if you are interested in learning more about living in Iowa. Let's bump up another notch and go to $750,000 purchase price. Again, we're going to start with 100% financing. At a 6% interest rate, you would be looking at a monthly payment of $4,496.63. At a 6.5% interest rate, your monthly payment would go up to $4,740.51. And last, at a 7% interest rate, your monthly payment would bump all the way up to $4,989.77 a month. Next, let's go to 96.5% loan with a 3.5% down payment. At a 6% interest rate, your monthly payment would be at $4,339.25. At a 6.5% interest rate, your monthly payment would go up to $4,574.59. And a 7% interest rate, that monthly payment would go all the way up to $4,815.13. Let's go to a 90% loan now with a 10% down payment. At a 6% interest rate, you would be looking at a monthly payment of $4,046.97. At a 6.5% interest rate, that would go up to a monthly payment of $4,266.46. And at a 7% interest rate, that monthly payment would bump all the way up to $4,490.79. Last example is 80% financing and a 20% down payment at the $750,000 price point. At a 6% interest rate, you would be looking at a monthly payment of $3,597.30. At a 6.5% interest rate, that monthly payment would go up to $3,792.41. And then at a 7% interest rate, that same loan amount would bump all the way up to $3,991.81. As you see, the trend of the higher the mortgage, the bigger the difference in gross amount of difference at 6, 6.5, and 7% interest rate makes. Last, we're going to cover the $1 million financing options. But before we do, if you are this far in the video, please consider smashing that like button, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that bell so you are notified each and every time we come out with a new video. For the $1 million price point, we're going to start at 100% financing again, and at a 6% interest rate with 100% financing, your monthly payment of principal and interest would be $5,995.51. Now let's raise that interest rate to 6.5%, and that same monthly payment would increase to $6,320.68. Last, we go all the way up to 7% interest rate with the monthly payment coming in at $6,653.02. Next, let's go to a down payment of 3.5% or financing of 96.5%. First up is a 6% interest rate, where the monthly payment starts at $5,785.66. At a 6.5% interest rate, that monthly payment would go up to $6,099.46. And last, at 7% interest rate, where the monthly payment would bump all the way up to $6,420.17. Let's keep it going and now go with the 90% loan and 10% down payment. At a 6% interest rate, the monthly payment would start at $5,395.95. Next up is 6.5% interest rate, where the monthly payment would go up to $5,688.61. And last, 7% interest rate, where the monthly payment bumps all the way up to $5,987.72. The very last option, we'll cover a $1 million loan where 80% finance and 20% down payment. At a 6% interest rate, the monthly payment would start at $4,796.40. Next up is this 6.5% interest rate where the monthly payment goes up to $5,056.54, and last, a 7% interest rate where the monthly payment bumps all the way up to $5,322.42. If you're watching this and considering Iowa as a state to move to, then you may also want to watch a video where we did the pros and cons of living in Iowa. I will link that above so you can watch that video. These interest rates show that it is really important to do the best you can do for an interest rate. Don't be afraid to shop around of lenders for the best rates. It can really make a huge difference and save you thousands of dollars a year.